just stand guard over there so people don't cross that. Bob down as you go through, guys.
I know, but I felt so sorry for you. I know it's not meant to do it, you know. Yeah. Still quick.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Josie Thomas, nee Van Oosten, of the Van Oosten mob. Many of them are sitting over here, and two behind me. First thing I'm going to ask you to do is please make sure your mobiles are on silent or off. We all know what that's like to be interrupted in a concert. So thank you for all coming here today and being here. A very, very warm welcome to everybody, both physically present and somewhere else on the globe. There may be some people watching from Germany, from the States, and certainly from WA, where my brother Henk lives. Our brother Henk and his partner Terry it's 2 hours south of Perth, and unfortunately they're unable to travel. But he is with us nevertheless, so thanks to modern technology. Do say hi to Hank, and Terry, the Skype is still active over there. Say hi, Hank! Hi, Hank! And so, but before we start, I wish to acknowledge the custodians of this land, the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation and their elders, past and present. I acknowledge and respect their continuing culture and the contribution they make to the life of this city and this region. Just a few household items. Those of you who have booked for supper, it will be downstairs. There are stairs down here that leads down to a functioning supper room. And the toilets are to the side. There's one here and there's one down there. Now, to avoid interrupting the flow of the song cycle, please hold your applause till the entire song cycle has finished. You've got programs there with all the words in front of you, so you'll know when that happens. Because this is a brand new piece of music that's never been heard before, hence premiere. This concert is a tribute to my brother Henk van Oosten, who has created paintings and sculptures of many styles. Demonstrates clearly that Henk can produce wonderful portraits and sculptures in a variety of media. His recollections of World War II are quite different. A child's view with powerful, frightening memories. I'll now hand over to my sister Maria Wolf, who initiated this project, to tell us how it evolved.
Good afternoon, everybody. I had been pondering the idea of preserving the paintings in book form for some time. What you see and hear today came about because my friend, Lee Hay, who wrote the libretto for a work commissioned by the Heidelberg Choral Society called When the Bugle Calls, which was composed by Nicholas Buck, was a piece about the First World War and the Vietnam War. I happened to mention Hank's paintings to her at the time, and she requested to see them. She was very moved by them and asked if she could create some poetry, which I readily agreed to. I had not thought beyond creating a book about the paintings, but after showing Hank and Josie the poems, it just blossomed from there. Josie, being a musician, suggested that the poems should be set to music, and she will elaborate on that part of the project shortly. I asked my daughter's friend Eliza, a graphic artist, if she would be interested in designing and preparing the book for printing, and she readily agreed. While preparing the book, I also asked other surviving members of the family if they would like to contribute their recollections as well. Jean and Peter kindly agreed to do so. I am very grateful for Eliza's creative work and patience in preparing the book. There were many emails and phone calls, and Eliza was always professional at helping during the process. She did a remarkable job, because the photos of the paintings were a challenge. They were not the best resolution to work with. Nevertheless, she managed to overcome that hurdle and produce a fabulous book. The paintings and poems are confronting, but they demonstrate the resilience and great courage of a family and a nation. Huge thanks to Hank for giving this work to the world, and a special salute to our parents for having somehow kept 7 children alive through intense fear, danger and near starvation. Dank u wel, moeder and vader. Thank you well very much, dear mother and father.
Just a little about how I got to know Joe and Kristen. I first heard of Joe from a teacher I worked with at Altona College, who handed me one of his CDs and said, "Here, listen to this guy, he is God." It was an album called Reflective Journey, and it struck me as being totally different from anything I had ever heard in the jazz genre before. Unique in every way, with amazing cross rhythms and incredibly subtle interplay between players. I listened to that album over and over. Definitely not just a standard jazz formula. I soon bought more of his CDs and came to many of his concerts. Joe likes to mingle with his audiences after concerts, and so I came to know him a little. Then, like a true composer, always searching to create the new, I learned Joe ventured forward into classical composition. Your program notes list just some of those accomplishments. Now, when Maria showed me the pictures with Lee's poetry, a bold thought flashed through my mind. What if I asked Joe Kindamo to compose music for these poems? This superb, versatile pianist and world-class composer to consider writing music for these poignant paintings? It took me a while to drum up the courage to do this, but the end result is now obvious, as we are all here to witness. I learned shortly afterwards of another connection with Joe. I was merely his grade 3 teacher. I began teaching at Myra's Brothers School in North Fitzroy in the early 70s, a grade 3, when he was in grade 4. I did teach his brother Domenico. Kristen I came to know because she married one of my son's best friends that he has known since prep. And for those of you who are at a distance, whether you're in Australia or somewhere else on the globe, that means the first year of school here in Victoria. Everyone I know is taken by Kristen's warm personality and stunning voice. So who better than this superb mezzo-soprano to partner with Joe in this song cycle? We are here today to experience how Joe has magnificently captured Lee's lyrics and brought the emotions of this intensely difficult time to the fore in his inimitable style. This work is not only a piece of my family's history, the Van Oostens, but also a testament to the resilience of not just our family, but a nation struggling against the odds to survive violence, captivity and famine. I'd now like to introduce my brother Peter Van Oosten and sister Jean Sanders. They both remember the war and will add their recollections to each of the scenes, whilst Joe improvises before each composed song. We, the Van Oostens, feel enormously privileged that Joe and Kristen agreed to participate in our family's history in this unique way. Please warmly welcome Kristen Lynch and Joe Kindamo to perform for you Memories of Overschie.
New reality. I remember this scene, but I do not understand what it meant. The iconic scene of the helmet and the rifle denoting a grave of a soldier brings to mind not only the futility of war, but also it is a moment of respect in a horrible conflict. This is what Henk had to say about it. We were nearly 6 years old in May 1940 when we saw this grave in the paddock opposite our house in Overschie, a small township just north of Rotterdam. It was the start for us to live through 5 years of deprivation caused by the occupation of Holland by the German army.
a field of dark foreboding. One soldier, one brave, one small plot of island occupied. The beginning is the end. My life gone, image balanced, rifle at the ready, solitary sentinel in a field of dark foreboding. One soldier, one brave, one small plot of island occupied.
The diminutive voice, the daily round of every able family member in scrounging for fuel was essential. It was the only heating means available. By the time I was 4 years old, I too participated in those forays. The confrontation of the 11-year-old girl defending her young brothers from the Nazi war machine is a strong example of hope over might. The strength in her arm outweighed the loud military shouting. He let them go. Was he softened by her courage? Or embarrassed about a herring folk arguing with an 11-year-old girl?
She stands incessant, a girl amongst men, as jackboots march aboys to the fatherland. She will not retreat, she will not back down, she will not leave again in the land of the gods. She gathers us up, we run like the wind, long awaits. But her whispers, lest the traitor should hear. She stands insistent again amongst men, as jackals march or boys to the fatherland. She will not retreat, she will not back down, she will not ever give in the lap of the gods. She gathers us up, we brightening the wind, long the wax, glittering whispers, lest the traitor should hear.
Fear is futile. These are Henk's words. Dad protecting us from stray bullets. We all slept in the passageway with the cupboard doors open to form a screen behind which we slept on makeshift beds. It was pretty scary. I remember that we moved the piano with the back facing the windows for further protection. Our eldest sister aunts held Peter in her arms lying on the mattress. We were so scared that some of us wet the bed.
Hissing, screaming intent, bullets circle, singing communion, snatched sleep, makeshift beds, shaken, too scared to strain, flying, piercing, screaming intent, bullets circle, singing communion, snatch sleep, makeshift beds, screen shaken, too scared to stray. Piercing, screaming intent, bullets circle, singing communion, snatch sleep, makeshift beds, screen shaken, too scared to stray.
working for the muffin. Twin brother Bear looked for his glasses with a lit candle. Now a strict blackout was in force. So we had an unwanted visit from the NSB patrol, who were Dutch traitors in collusion with the National Socialist Party, working for the muffin, a nickname we gave the Germans. This incident also stands out in my memory. It happened in the boys' bedroom. The parents are holding their breath as the NSB people were very arrogant and power hungry. But we were let off with a warning.
Upstairs nights of roses the night, absolute foreboding, attracting men like moths to a flame, quickly douse the lights of the house, hide the source, pretending of course. A small child's candle is too late. Deceive them of covers and cloth, pretense and trickery for stomach or we know your name. Upstairs nights of roses the night, absolute foreboding, attracting men like moths to a flame, quickly douse the lights of the house, hide the source, pretending of course, a small child's candle is too deceive them of covers and cloth, pretense and trickery for stumbled over me. We want, we know your name.
Manna not from heaven. These are Henk's words. Food was scarce, so Dad decided to look for it on het platteland, meaning the countryside, to barter for the farmers with food and gifts from home. On one such venture, they took shelter from flying bullets. They were caught between planes, strafing an army column. They escaped uninjured, but found no food. The risks we had to take to get food was incalculable. One day an uneventful scrounge, the next day cowering behind a tree, staying at a line of fire.
X marks the spot. These are Henk's words. German plane dropped by in our town Overschie. I was very glad that it happened to a Nazi. I felt that the war was coming to an end. Peter remembers that he was on the way to Montessori school. Parts of a fighter plane had crashed into a house. The wing on the plane was poked out over the street. Frightening. In our innocence, the kids collected the anti-aircraft shrapnel. The more jagged the pieces, the better. The kids had no concept that the shrapnel might have ripped the plane apart and killed the flyers.
It looks like X marks the spot, but the nose is down, tail in the air. We see from the angle crosses not, left tilt your head, cross real lines, Reich, cross a line, inward and now its power below. It looks like X marks the spot, but the nose is down, tail in the air. We see from the angle crosses not, left tilt your head, cross real lines, symbol Reich, cross a line, inward and now its power below.
Scrambling for spuds. These are Henk's words. Our young brother Bill was booted up the behind by a moth when we were scrambling to pick up potatoes which had fallen from the truck. Foraging for food under the supply trucks for the Nazi garrisons was routine. And this particular painting strikes me particularly. It was painted from the perspective from the opposite sidewalk, precisely where big brothers, all of 7 and 9, told me to stay out of the way. Such places were not far from home, so even my little legs could help to carry some of the scraps if necessary.
Out in the box I take center stage. Oh, smoke screens run before I double. Snuffle what you can, squint your shoe, stash up your sleeve, half-rotten food is better than starving. Starving, starving, starving. Stash up your sleeve, half-rotten food is better than starving. Starving, starving, starving.
Coming ready or not, Henk's words. In the autumn of 1944, the Germans demanded that all males between the ages of 16 and 60 years present themselves for one day only, as the pamphlet stated, delivered the night before by breaking the front door windows. The pamphlet stated, "Be ready by 7 a.m. next day." Dad managed to avoid being transported to Germany. He did 4 months of forced labor. He found a way of escaping by simulating edema. Then Dad managed to get a ride home by sitting on the mudguard of a German army truck, pretending to be sympathetic to the German cause. The driver did not know the way to Rotterdam, so Dad was acting as a guide. He arrived very cold during the night. A knock on the door. He arrived very cold during the night. A knock on the door, and Mum knew it was Dad. We were all so grateful because a lot of fathers never came back. I can still remember a long line of men marching to the train to be transported to Germany. I was desolate and worried that I might lose my father. Peter remembers that this must have been the darkest moment for our parents. The uncertainty of where and for how long and how dangerous the destination. The realization that he might not return on top of the forced separation must have been unbearable.
Early morning, we know they will come. Father will leave me taken from home. We know not where, nor how long he'll be away from us. From mother, from me. Early morning, we know they will come. Father will leave me taken from home. Dutch sounding name, in marchland labor and indiscipline, and when the night is chill and frost coats the ground, and knock on the door will be the only sound that tells us he's back. The dirt has come home, tired and weary, and chilled to the bone. Early morning, we know they will come. Father will leave me taken from home. We know not where, nor how long he'll be away from us. From mother, from me, he has no papers, a Dutch sounding name, he'll march on labor and illness free, and when the night is chill and frost coats the ground, and knock on the door will be the only sound that tells us he's back. The dirt has come home, tired and weary, and chilled to the bone.
Keeping the candle burning. These are Henk's words. Mother alone. Us kids upstairs in bed. Dad away at forced labor. No electricity, no coal, only cabbage for food. Before Dad left, he fixed Mama a light, a wick and oil. What sort of oil? I don't know. The candle in the painting, the substitute. For me, this painting pairs with the previous one, making a set. Now alone, Mum faces the responsibility of being the sole provider for the family, as well as having the void next to her every day, every night. It must have been overwhelming, yet she faced it. But this room with the table and chairs, this is one of them. They were also a place of happier times. But previously, waiting for Dad to come home from work, we would gather and play games. Mum would tap out a rhythm, and we would guess what piece of music she was tapping.
Wicked noise all mother has to kindle dreary midwife. is gone, cabbage grew. Wicked noise, all mother says, figure of hope, midwinter light. Wicked noise all mother has to kindle dreary midwinter night. Empty cupboards, wigs for fuel, daddy's gone, cabbage grew. Wicked noise all mother says, flicker of hope, midwinter night.
The box. These are Henk's words. When things were at the most desperate, help came by a gift of food. A man knocked at the door in the evening. It was dark already. He put down a box of groceries with the words, "I am St. Nicholas," and left. Dad tried to find the person after the war, but never succeeded. I remember it was close to St. Nicholas time. At first, Mum was scared, thinking it was Nazi knocking on the door. But the door was opened gently. The visitor wouldn't say who he was, and gently pushed the box into the house with food and an old car lamp and a bottle of oil. We were shocked and delighted to receive this mysterious gift. Peter remembers that part of the gifts were stockfish, a dried cod. Even its look is burnt in his memory. Mum made a chowder out of it and stretched it out over a week. This was food with real substance.
It came, we know not from where. He knocked in answer to our prayer. 'Twas evening, darkness prevailing. His identity casually veiled. He's not St. Nicholas of mythical good. He's God's angel, bringer of It came he knocked in answer to our prayer. 'Twas evening, darkness prevailing, his identity casually made. He is not Saint Nicholas of mythical good. He is God's angel, bringer of food.
The Red Cross, Basel. These are Henk's words. While listening to the clandestine wireless, the signal tuned from the BBC was the Morse code letter V for victory. It sounded like the start of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. We used to sing it softly. Engeland wins, Engeland wins. We learned of a food drop from the Red Cross. 3 loaves of high tin bread was our share. I could still see my sister walking towards our house with her arms full. We could not believe our taste buds. We only allowed ourselves a small portion. Our stomachs not used to such luxuries. Jean remembers thinking the food drops were bombs and clung to Mum in fear. However, Mum quickly reassured her that it was much needed food. Jean was so hungry, she sneaked a piece of sausage. It tasted so good that she went back for more. She's been hungry ever since. At 6 years old, my first taste of a slice of lush, high-tin white bread with a scrape of margarine, sprinkling of sugar, still beats the best that the pastry chefs offer.
Iron Cross, Red Cross, Swedish blades for drop. Cancellate, masquerade, dad still hiding from the moth. Eating bread, food and bed, forgotten what it's like to be fed. Iron Cross, Red Cross, Swedish blades for drop. Cancellate, masquerade, dad still hiding from the moth. Eating bread, food and bed, forgotten what it's like to be fed. Iron Cross, Red Cross, Swedish blades for drop. Cancellate, masquerade, dad still hiding from the moth. Hiding bread, food and bed, forgotten what it's like to be fed. cross, red cross, Swedish plain-foot's drop. Cancelate, masquerade, dance they hiding from the moth. Hiding bread, food than bed, forgotten what it's like to be fed.
Liberation. We were put to bed. It was springtime. We sneakily opened the windows and heard singing. At first, Mum told us to go to sleep, but she relented and let us out to join the celebration, knowing it was now safe to be outside. We sang the Dutch national song Oranje boven, which means orange above, long live the Queen. Peter has memories of the victory celebration, including games and street parties for young and old. But the plaster egg he dropped in the sperm race for 6-year-olds was an embarrassment.
Here, a liberating line of khaki flags and banners. We're finally free. We're home. We're home. Here, a liberating line of khaki flags and banners. We're finally free. We're gone. We're gone. We're gone. We're gone. Here, a liberating line of khaki flags and banners. We're finally free. We're home. We're home. As the wolf no walked our land, cannot if we're starved at the farmer's hand. Hey, no more jackboots, no more hay. Overschie's eyes again. We're gone, we're gone, we're gone, we're gone.
She will never win the peace. Henk's words. To my great horror, our Dutch boys from the resistance, the underground, did not think much of the Dutch girls who had consorted with the German soldiers. I thought the war was over. I feel that the scars of war live on in everyone. Our friend Martin, who had been imprisoned as a youngster, simply for being in the wrong place at the wrong time, bore the effects of PTSD for the rest of his life.
carry scars where home are on our head. Show the word or sign we're on. War is harsh on those who fight, and some surrender before the war is won. War brings out the best or worst, sometimes long after the battle is over. We continue to carry scars where honor on our head. Show the world our side we're on. War is harsh on those who fight, and some surrender before the war is won.
Lee, would you like to come out here as well, please? Lee Hay, who wrote the lyrics, please. I'm so privileged to have watched Joe develop these songs, watching a genius compose like that. And that last song always gets me, so I'm a bit teary. Joe makes me cry a lot, in a nice way. In a nice way. Delivered superbly with Kristen's voice. Wasn't that something stunning? Could you please give them another hand? So, thank you, Hank. No, we're not yet. Thank you, Hank, again. I think he's watching us via YouTube. For without your paintings, this would never have happened. And I guess, in a way, the fire was a good thing, because without the fire, this probably would never have happened either. So the phoenix rises again. So Lihei, Eliza, amazing job with the book. That wasn't easy. Don't go away. Boys who did the tech work, David Wolf, Julian Cerrito, our sons who were here testing things out and setting it all up, and Robin and Joe and Friend to do all the filming. So thank you very much for agreeing to be part of this. And we certainly hope to be doing it again in the future, somewhere in Melbourne for a start, but it could go further. So, could you please bring the plant, boys? Kristen, thank you very much. Give that to Kristen. These are two of my wonderful students, Dragon and Kai. Yes, Dragon. Emerging pianists. Watch out. Some of them could go places. Now, a bottle of wine. How about the red one? Joe? Thank you. Oh, the Christmas ones. Yes. Lee? Well, let's see. Where's Lee? Thank you very much for coming. I hope you were all as moved as I have been with this whole process. I'd never imagined this was going to be as big as it was in a way. But again, I'm extremely very grateful for Joe to have agreed to write the music for this. And Kristen, wonderful. Wonderful to have you as a friend and singer. Marvelous singer. She sings with Opera Australia. She didn't know. So, those of you who've agreed to stay, actually, would either of you like to say anything at all? No. No? Okay, good. Sometimes you do. So those of you who are going to stay for supper, you can come down through these doors and the stairs. Hopefully the caterers will have it all ready for you down there. And I think that's all. So perhaps you guys can guide them through the door because you've been here before. Yes. So thank you again and see you again on Saturday.
We all just wanted to say a big thank you to you and Mum, who obviously went to so much effort in getting this all sorted and spent lots of time and energy getting it all perfect, and it was an amazing day. So we would like to say thank you.
Let's just say one more thing. I just thought of this now. I mean, 3 of my siblings are no longer with us, but all their offspring are here. So it's wonderful. Yeah, the 3, no, as I mean, no longer on the planet. There's my younger brother, John, who was the baby in the photo that you see in the book. At the time, he was born during the war and doesn't remember a thing, thankfully, I suppose. And the other thing I wanted to mention is when we were looking for a venue, one of the reasons we chose the church here is because we grew up as Catholics, and Catholicism and the religion got my mother through the war. It was a very strong crutch for her, so we thought it would be appropriate, Mum, to have it in a church, even though we're in an Anglican church. You'll forgive us, I'm sure. God doesn't care. She doesn't care anymore. No. So thank you all, and see many of you downstairs. Thank you.
say military family?
Oh yeah, and then I
Did you know each other?
No,
Oh, I
just
don't
met.
know.
I lived on the East Coast for a while.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, thanks. Are you going to get some of this?
Okay.
Oh, it's terrific.
No,
It's terrific.
Sometimes you do, and it's actually quite nice to do something you don't know.
Yes.
Ricky's
You must be job.